Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Sunday Q&A. We are going to be comparing many TinyWhoop frames here today. Look at them all. Look at them all. Most of these are We Bleed crown frames. Zotex sent me one of every current color. There will be more colors in the future, but yeah, pretty cool stuff. And I've also got the broken Meteor 65 Air, the second broken Meteor 65 Air. I've got an old school Invincible Meteor 65. And in mailbag, which is one of the other things that we're going to be doing, is the current new version of the Cockroach 65 V3. And realistically, those are the four really good TinyWhoop frames at the moment. Although actually, we can also talk a little bit about the fractal frame, which we do talk about quite a bit. Not really a freestyle frame, in my opinion, but a good TinyWhoop frame nonetheless that we can wrap up in the discussion. Doggy, what are you doing? What? Why won't you? Oh God, move! Can't you? You can't just move. Just move out of the way. Get. Ah! What's happening? Ugh. Hey, I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog now. My name is Teddy Spaghetti. I've got flappy ears and a bad attitude. I don't know when to leave people alone, and I eat things I'm not supposed to. But goddamn, you're gonna take one look at me and melt forever. 'Cause look at this face. There you go. There's your Theodore Barksdale / Teddy Spaghetti / he's got worms. That's why we call him Teddy Spaghetti. He doesn't have worms. That's actually a Frasier joke, yo. The footage that you saw at the beginning of the live stream was a drifting event at the local place that does the RC drift car stuff that they invited me to, and good God, I had some issues today, man. I moved the hold on, what else are we doing? This is also a Q&A live stream. Ask any questions that you've got in the chat and we'll talk about them. And we're also going to do our 6 batteries a day today, as we've been doing for the every live stream for the last month. Fly 6 batteries every day. You'll be infinitely better as a pilot. It's wild. It's just bananas. Yeah, so I bought another new box to try to get. So at this drift car place, they've got a big 4 big ass TVs together. That with the walk snail rig, I can just plug into the walk snail goggles out through HDMI, and it's on the big screens, which is awesome because everybody loves to watch. I've been trying to get the analog rig up there because it's so much lighter and so much more agile, and it's just amazing to fly. Something's happening upstairs. There's mucho stomping. And so, yeah, I've been trying to find a way of converting analog to HDMI. And, boy, oh boy, is that difficult. I have bought 2 of these now from Pyrodrone. This is exactly that. VRX 5.8 outputs HDMI, should be good to go. And it does sort of work. But the range is 5 feet for some reason, and it always flashes white. It just constantly flashes white, and then if you go 6 feet away, it drops out. It comes back, but then every 30 seconds or so, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, it drops out. So this is a piece of crap, unfortunately, from Pyrodrone. I thought maybe I just got a bad one. They sent me another one. The other one that they sent me is doing the exact same thing. So this is a bad product. Stay away from it. Unless somehow I got 2 bad ones in a row, I doubt it. I'm going to tell them, look, this one's doing the exact same thing. Please refund me. They were great on the return process. I can send them both back, whatever. So yeah, that product just doesn't work. I have also tried. I thought I tried something else. I tried doing some weirdness with. Yeah, so I've got a monitor. Just one of these 5.8 monitors with VRXs built in. And this monitor does have a plug-based video out. It looks like a little audio plug. One of these guys, little headphone plug. And so, buddy, look out! I don't want to run over your little paws, buddy. Come on, get out of here. I took this monitor and I plugged into the AV out. But when you do that, as soon as you plug in, there's some weirdness with power, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. You plug into this and the video goes to hell on here, and it doesn't output video that is useful. So it doesn't work. I then bought one of these little things for $10, which is this is the most recent thing that I've done. Component video in to HDMI out. And I plugged them into my goggles, and they do the exact same thing. As soon as you plug into the goggles, it loses its mind, and you lose your video in the goggles, and it doesn't output anything. So yeah, this is becoming a nightmare. I did want to check though. This is the plug that. So this is an audio video cable that works with the Immersion RC Power Play, and like, yeah, no, it's the same plug. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. It's real, I know it's real annoying though, and I can't wrap my head around it being so incredibly difficult to get analog fucking video out of our goggles into HDMI. Like, how is that so difficult? What am I missing here? Like, what is this real life? Because this is pretty fucking stupid. So if anybody has a suggestion, how about this? I don't want suggestions. If anybody knows of a way to do this, I want to hear from you. If you don't know for absolute certain how to do this, I don't want to hear it. I don't want 80 people saying, oh, just plug a VTX into your butthole and it'll work great. And leave it up there until the oil shoots out of your face. I'm not interested in that. If somebody has a known way of doing this, I am interested. But I've tried a bunch of stuff, and I've followed a bunch of suggestions that I've gotten, and none of them have worked. And I'm getting really annoyed. Outputting the walk snail rig to the monitors is fine, and yeah, it's kind of annoying though because outputting the walk snail rig to the monitor is good because I can get 1080 footage off of it, but I've got plenty of footage. I would and the runtime of that rig is just brutal. It's about 2 minutes. The analog rig is over 3 minutes, and like, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. It's more than 50% additional time, and it makes a huge difference. Like, I blast through all 18 of my batteries in like 45 minutes on the walk snail rig, whereas like I'll go over an hour easily on the analog setup. So yeah, I don't get it. I just don't get it. But something ain't working right, and it makes me want to cry and pee my pants. So if you're into that kind of thing, you came to the right place, damn it. Yeah, I just don't get it. I'm come on, get in there, cable. So yeah, there's that. At some point, I had seen a monitor that did have HDMI out, but it was like $200, and like, I don't need another monitor. At this point, though, I'm tempted to just say to hell with it and do it, because it probably works for $200. You know, these things, these guys are like $26. The thing that I just threw under the couch was like $10. So it's becoming sort of obvious that I need to spend more than $30 to be able to do this. But Man, do I not want to. So, I don't know. Here we are. In the chat, T-Nugs was first, Hockey Rounds was next, Apache Spoke, Wooded Sniper, Kevin Sumner, Deadzilla the Terrible, Not Applicable is here, Frank Nicholas, Northern Tier, Michael Kajas, JP Spin FPV, Troy Prelog, We Bleed FPVs in the house, what's up, Zotek? Denzel the Terrible, Simon, Douglas Otwell, Freelojo, Yeah Boyd, EBR FPV, Flush FPV, Brandon Woodford, Rockcrawler, Morton Upshot, Volusia, Four Little Pigs, Bo Weber, Mark FPV, Steve Ray. Come on, scroll. Edward Jones, Metalhead, Hendrix Freakazoid, Adam Weston, One Arm RC, Prevail, Scott FPV, CH3, Denzel the Terrible again, Bobby Bags, Rookie Ray, Northern Tier again, CH3 again, License to Drive, what's up, brother? How you been? Anonymous is here. Hendrix Freakazoid, AH4, Chuck P, I'm just going to say, Squirrely Nuts. Squirrely Nuts. Yikes. Kenny Kobe, Frank Nicholas again, Northern Tier again, Brent Anderson, H. Rich, Trey Prelog, Freelojo, License to Drive, AH4 again, Prevail, Sully, Joe G, H. Rich, Terry Burnett, Brandon's Baked Beans, Menace Clips, Sebi D, Brandon, and Jar BZ Pilot. What's up, friends? Thanks for coming. Make yourselves at home. Ask some questions. Hang out in the chat. Lots of super smart, super talented, amazing people hanging out in the chat. If you ask a question and you get some answers in the chat, it's probably the right answer. This is a unique group of people that have latched on to this live stream. They're people that actually know what's what. They are people that have been in FPV for a long time. So if you're looking for some good info, this is a great spot for it. Not a lot of new folks survive the onslaught that is my live streams. We get pretty in the weeds pretty quickly. So for new folks, it tends to just, be super confusing in a hurry. So this is a really good spot to get some straight answers, good answers from people that have been around the block once or twice and have come out the other side without a nosebleed and cocaine. If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV. If you do that, it'll light up in orange like this. If you don't do that, I won't read your chat comment. That's just sort of how it works. People that have been around a while are pretty good at seeing good questions that haven't had me tagged in them and reposting them with a tag for me, but doesn't work every time. So if your question's not getting answered, it's your fault. It's not my fault. You didn't tag me, probably. Or I missed it, because YouTube's scrolling in the chat is brutal. Apache Smoke Good Cyber tagged me and said, "Good evening, CiottiFPV. How are you doing?" And hello, Gangly Gang. Denzel the Terrible says hello. CiottiFPV and all you fabulous bastards. Rockcrawler says, "Hey, yo." Bo Weber says, "What's up?" Adam Weston says, "Oh, yeah." Fill us in on the 12-hour stream. 12-hour stream every year is called the 12 Hours of Christmas. It will be either Christmas Day or the day before or the day after. I haven't figured it out yet. We have a little vacation planned, so I gotta, schedule it around that. Next week, it is next week. This week, I will figure it out. So either on tomorrow night's stream at 10 or Wednesday's stream at 8. These are all Eastern time. Oh wait, no, there is no. So we are taking a family trip to Tybee on Tuesday. So there will be a live stream tomorrow night, and then I will miss Wednesday's stream. I might be back for Friday's stream. Don't quote me on that, but Friday's stream should be good to go. Maybe, we'll see. Regardless, there will be a Sunday stream. When's Christmas? Good Lord, Christmas is on Sunday. What the hell is it doing there? What is it on a Sunday for? Okay. So Christmas is on Sunday. I will probably do it on Sunday then. What I'll probably do is starting at like 2 o'clock on Sunday, the 12-hour stream will begin. And it'll run until 2 a.m. And, there's a chance it'll be Saturday. There's a chance it'll be Monday. but it'll probably be Sunday. I'll get it scheduled. You'll see it pop up. Subscribe to the channel here and you'll get a notification. You can also join my Patreon, and then you'll get email notifications for all the live streams. That's another way that you can keep up with what's going on here. Joining my Patreon is 7.5 cents per hour of live stream that I do, which is a pretty good deal. $3 a month. It's like 10 cents a day. If you're into FPV, I know you've got an extra 10 cents a day. It's not an expensive hobby, but it's not a cheap hobby either. So yeah, hook a brother up, join my Patreon. I promise you it'll be well worth the $3 a month. Loads of good stuff going on over there. You're going to get connected with all the really cool people that hang out and chat here. Over on Patreon, we hang out a good amount. You're going to get access to a couple of different Facebook groups, a YouTube playlist with 90 some odd unreleased videos, half done edits, sketchy flying that I don't want to be public, Patreon only live streams that we've done. And on the Patreon itself, I have a whole bunch of tech articles. It's you're going to love it. It's well worth 10 cents a day, I promise. CiottiFPV.com is the website where you can join. And it means a whole hell of a lot. And it's the only way that I can do this full time and keep the quality of the content up, because I can focus on doing this rather than focus on being a project manager at some heartless corporation that makes me want to jump off the roof. So yeah, lots of cool stuff coming up. Freelojo says, seasons, greetings to the gangliest of gangs. CH3 says, what's up? CH3 also says, have you seen the last bot grinder video? We should talk about more of those kinds of things. We don't talk much about other people's videos because I don't really watch much FPV related content anymore. The stuff that I do watch is technical stuff, so that I can then regurgitate that to you people. So a lot of like Quad 66, Chris Rosser, UAV Tech, that kind of stuff. I don't watch a lot of FPV stuff for fun anymore. I've been in this universe for coming up on 8 years, or maybe more than 8 years now. And now that it's my full-time job, like I watch stuff for work, basically, that's FPV related. And then when I'm not working, I watch car stuff, sim stuff. Yeah, in the same way that like you guys have a job, and then FPV is your hobby on the side. FPV is now my job, and then sim racing and just car related shit is my hobby on the side. And so that's a lot of what I watch. I did watch the first half of 28 grams, which was awesome. That's Bot Grinder's like TinyWhoop film. I highly recommend that. We've talked about that once or twice so far. But if he has something else out since that, I have not seen it. I try to catch his stuff because I love the guy. But yeah, it's just like when I get done doing my 6, 7, 8, 9 hours of FPV stuff a day, I'm just onto other things so that I get a little bit of a break. Because I'm terrified of burning out. I have burned out every single hobby that I've absolutely loved. I have felt the burnout really strong with FPV before in the past, and I'm doing everything I possibly can to avoid that, so that I can kind of keep going and keep learning and keep helping everybody out. So, yeah. J-Spin says, maybe butcher it and give it a proper VRX. I wouldn't even begin to know how to do that. I wouldn't even begin to know how to... Yeah, I don't know. Like, these things are circuit boards that have, like, everything built into them. So I have no idea how to find the video line in there and then buy another receiver and then figure out where the video line out is on the other receiver and then put it all together. I don't understand how the hell there's not a box that does what I'm looking to do. It just seems insane. So yeah, I don't have like, I'm not an electrical engineer. I'm not an electrical technician. I'm none of those things. I'm an FPV pilot that when I'm forced to, I can solder some shit together. But like, yeah, I'm not an electronics person. Kevin James says, I'm looking to put a light vista in my Alpha A85. But what should I upgrade motors to so that it flies decent? It currently has 1303 5000 kV. Man, I don't know, Kevin. That Alpha A85, I don't think it's ever gonna fly decent. Like, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the Vistas are just way too heavy. And yeah, I mean, if it doesn't fly good on 1303 motors, I mean, I don't know what. Maybe you'll have to put 2306s on it and 6S. That is a massive motor, and like yeah. Here's what I'll say: the only way to get that thing flying good is going to be to bring the weight down. So putting it sounds like what you're looking to do is put a naked Vista in there, which is definitely the right thing to do. I have no idea where the all-up weight is going to wind up after that. I also have no idea how good that frame is. Like, that's a rig that I have zero experience with, and I've actually never heard of anybody flying. So I don't really know. What I can say, though, is that if it's got... The other thing I can say, I should say, is that if it has 1303 5000 kV motors... It sounds, I would hope that it's on 4S, which is also pretty nasty. That's going to be a battery that's just way too heavy. Even at the smallest amount of MAH that exists, which is going to be like 350, or maybe you can find a 4S 300 MAH battery, that battery is still going to be way too heavy. So you need to get the battery weight down significantly. I would try to bring it all the way down to 2S if the AIO will work on 2S, and try to get it running on like a 2S 350 or a 2S, maybe even a 2S 300. And then for the motor, you're gonna have to go to you're gonna have to like almost triple the kV of the motor. So you want to be looking for like 14,000 kV motors. I don't know if you're going to find... One of the things that happens as the motor size increases is that the kV decreases. So it might be really hard to find a motor that has enough kV that is big enough for how fat that rig is. So that's a tough one, man. I don't have any experience in rigs that are that heavy, that are also TinyWhoops, mainly because TinyWhoops that are that heavy just fly awful. You have to keep the weight down on a TinyWhoop in order for it to fly good. So yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you, brother, but that's the path I can put you on. 1303 is a massive motor. Look for a slightly smaller motor. Look for like 1002 is not going to be big enough. 1102, I don't think that's going to be big enough either. So look for something bigger than 1102, but not as big as 1303, and try to find something with the highest kV possible so that you can bring the voltage down as low as possible so that you can run a lighter weight battery. And yeah. So that's all I can really tell you. I don't know any specific motors in those sizes, but that's what you're looking to do there. You need to get the weight down on that rig. That A85 out of the box is just absolutely massive, like 100+ grams, I want to say, and that's never going to work for a TinyWhoop. Frank Nicholas says the 1/8 inch AV out on your monitor. If the cable is not what it came with, it might have a different pinout. There are various pinouts on the 1/8 inch AV adapters. I didn't know that. I thought that they all used the same. So this is video only, and so this one only has the one black ring on it. And I thought the situation was when the little 1/8 inch plugs output video, they only have one contact in there, and so on the plugs they put the single black ring, and then they just send the video out the entire core of the damn thing, so that when you plug it in, that one contact hits it, and away you go. The audio plugs that transmit video, left channel audio, and right channel audio, they've got 3 rings on them. And then I always assume that inside there they've got 3 different contacts at the different distances. There's a pretty quick and easy way that I can test that, which is so I have this cable that I plug into the Immersion RC Power Play, and it does not make the goggles go to hell, to my knowledge. So let me quick test that. And so when I plug this guy in, okay, nothing happens, which is what I want. I want nothing to happen. And this 1/8" plug has the 3 black rings on it. This plug here, when I plug it in, this is when the other end was plugged into the thing, though. Okay, all right, so yeah, there is something bad going on. When I plug this in, I lose all video. So this cable is no good. So maybe I just need a different cable. Hold on 1 second. I do have another... Hang on. Go back. All right. So. Yep. All right. So I've got this little guy, which I was going to bring, but I didn't. And this guy, so this is just component to 1/8". This guy has 2 little black rings. Let's see what happens when I plug this in. I bet you this is going to work. And all I needed to do was bring this and a component cable, and I would have been fine today. All right, let's see. Come on, where is it? Nope, I lose video with this too. So... interesting. So I guess what I need is a 1/8" to component cable that has the 3 black rings on it, which I don't think I have, but I might. I do have a big ass box of cables in the garage, so I will take a look at that, and I will not send that component to HDMI box back quite yet, because yeah, there's a chance that I can get it running if I find the right cable to plug into the goggles. Why is it this difficult? Why is this my life? Good call, Frank. All right, so Ramdonko says, are there 3 black rings in the plug? We talked about that. Simon says, I struggled with AV to HDMI converters from Amazon, basically out of my receiver through the connector to a monitor, always dropped out, thought it was the receiver. It's not. AV weirdness. Northern Tier says, I wonder if those devices are running HDCP copy protection. Interesting. Always dropped out. Thought it was the receiver. It's not. AV weirdness. This is a nightmare. H. Rich says, great to catch one of the live streams. That's more in keeping with Mountain Time. Hope you're well. Thoughts on the Beta FPV 0702 as alternatives to the Happy Model 30,000 kV UK stock is bad now. I still have not tested the Beta FPV 0702s. Quad 66 has. He seems to dig them, but he has not tested the Happy Model motors. So maybe once he tests the Happy Model TinyWhoop Weebly motors, yeah. So we should wait. I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna suggest the beta FPV motors quite yet. They're probably fine. He prefers the bushing, the bushing ones, not the bearing ones. So yeah, take that with a take that. Menace Clip says, first ever live stream with CiottiFPV. Thanks for coming, brother. We're about to dig into it. Espander says, hey, gangly gang. Hi, CiottiFPV. Frank Nicholas says, for the AV 1/8 inch out, see my pictures and links in Discord. Will do after the stream. Thank you, dude. Metalhead FPV says, thanks for the advice about canopies and cams last week. I ended up going with the Newbie Drone Goober V2 and Runcam Nano 4. I gained 2 grams, but the setup is much sturdier. Give me peace of mind. Love that. Frank Nicholas says, Christmas is on Monday. It's Monday. Monday, not Sunday. Oh, yeah, right. Christmas is the 25th, not the 24th. Wow. All right, so yeah, 24-hour stream will probably be Monday. Yikes. Anonymous says, you look like a Trappist monk. This is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite shirts, man. This is an Element shirt from the skateboarding company. I love this shirt. I love it. Adam Weston says Christmas is 25th. That's Monday. Scott FPV says there is a blue filter inside the Avatar Nano camera. Apparently mine got knocked loose in a crash. Is there any way to stick it back in place? You can certainly try, but it's really, really tough. Shouldn't be a blue filter. It should be a UV filter. Manufacturers will either put a UV filter on the sensor itself or on the back element of the lens, the farthest rear glass element in the lens. And yeah, unfortunately they do fall off every once in a while. The problem is that filter is usually like just barely big enough, so like if you use any kind of glue or anything like that to stick it on, that will usually show up you'll just ruin it. So yeah, I mean, try, because it's kind of broken right now anyway. But yeah, that's what's going on. It should be like a pinkish kind of filter. It's to filter out the UV light, because the sensors just don't like that. And so yeah, that's what's going on. I don't know in the Avatar Nano if they put that UV filter on the sensor or on the lens. Hopefully they put it on the lens. And hopefully they sell a replacement lens. If they sell a replacement lens, you can usually look at the picture of the lens and try to find a picture of the back element of the lens. It should have a pink hue to it. If the back of the lens is perfectly see-through, then that UV filter is probably on the sensor itself. If that UV filter is on the sensor, you're doomed. You are not going to get it glued back to the sensor straight without ruining the sensor by getting glue all over it. Because, yeah, when they put that filter on the sensor, it's just not going to work. So that's what's going on. Simon says, joined your Patreon higher tier and happy to be a part of it. Discord opened up to more cool threads, waiting on Facebook acceptance. Good times. Thank you for reminding me of that, Simon. I have the Facebook group set up to auto accept, but for some reason the auto accept just does not work all that well, and I have to manually let people in there. So I'm going to do that real quick right now while we're kind of talking. I just have to click accept all, and then away we go. So member requests, approve all, and then I want member requests, approve. All right, you should be good to go. Thank you for that reminder, and thank you for joining the Patreon, man. That is very, very cool of you. It is super, super, super appreciated. It is, like I said earlier, the only way that I can do this full time. So thank you for allowing this show to happen, and all of you other beautiful bastards. Loads of ways that you can support me over on CiottiFPV.com other than Patreon. Buy yourself something cool from my Etsy store or from my Teespring shop. Work one-on-one with me. I can help you fly better, build better, or tune better. At the very least, I can stop you from buying all of the electronic components that catch on fire, because I've bought most of them that catch on fire. So yeah, you can buy a half an hour or an hour of my time through Fiverr, or just message me and we'll schedule it, and we can do it through PayPal. And then I've also got a whole bunch of affiliate links on the website. Those affiliate links are totally free for everyone to use. So whenever you're doing an order on the internet, try to use someone's affiliate link and they'll keep making cool stuff for you to watch on YouTube. I have affiliate links. All you have to do is click these at any point before you check out. So some folks have changed their bookmarks over to my affiliate link. So whenever they click their Brain 3D bookmark, they're automatically hitting my affiliate link and they don't have to try to remember to do this. You can also, like, if you're like me and you just type AMA for Amazon in here, when you type into the URL bar and it makes a suggestion, there's always an option off on the right to remove the suggestion. So you can remove all of your suggestions for these websites and then hit my affiliate links a bunch of times, and then your browser will think that when you want to go to AMA for Amazon that you actually want to go to my affiliate link. All different ways you can kind of make life easier on yourself and support people. I have affiliate links for Weebleed FPV, Newbie Drone, FPV Cycle, Amazon, Get FPV, Oh My God, Brain 3D, HD0, Flywoo, Emacs, Banggood, Camera Butter, and AliExpress. These are some of the best ways you can support people. Do it! Or else we'll all starve to death and die. You don't want that on your conscience, do you? Simon said... No, we got that. Michael Caddx says, PayPal for motor number 4. Dude, thank you very much. Where are we at here? Michael Caddx with a $15, what's that website? PayPal. Thank you, brother. That fills up the old gear fund. And there it be. The Hype Train Dime gear fund has filled up. And through the magic of editing... Oh, shit! Michael, damn, dude. That was quick. Thank you for that. That's how it works, man. When this thing fills up, just immediately the product arrives. It's the only time I'll ever be able to do that. Thank you, guys. That's very cool of you. We're gonna move the gear fund back to the healthcare fund while we figure out another thing to put into the regular gear fund. Thank you, guys. That's very cool of you. Brent Anderson says, curious if radio controller still emits signal from the antenna while plugged in via USB playing a sim. If so, can it be easily turned on and off? Signal harm reduction concept. It absolutely does, 100%. And it is pretty easy to turn off. It is under receiver. I gotta get this transmitter out anyway to do our 6 batteries a day. So here we go. So the easy thing to do, and I've shown you guys how to do this a bunch of times over the years, is to set up a model that you just call simulator. And in that model, you just tell it to turn off the internal receiver. And so, yeah. I've got a model in here called simulator. Well, I don't really need to go to that model. What is happening with this transmitter? Why is it being so weird? What is happening? It's like incredibly delayed. Everything is... Okay, let's turn it off and on. Something's fucked up. I don't know why it would have anything to do with that, but let's just pull that for a second. I just want to tell you where to find it real quick. You don't necessarily have to set up an individual model for it. You can just turn it off every time you sim, but that's kind of silly. Set up a model for it. All right, so it is... Okay, so it's in the setup menu, which is like the very first one, and it should be all the way at the bottom. What the hell is happening with this transmitter? What the hell's going on? It's incredibly delayed. It was the memory card. I must have a slow memory card in here. Or it was just angry a minute ago. Hold on, let's see. Well, that's not good. How long has that been doing that? I don't really go into the menus much. Hope that wasn't causing any problems. So in the setup menu, all the way at the bottom, there is internal RF. So you have to do this when you use an external module anyway. Whatever, it's down there. It's called internal RF, and then there's mode, and you just set that to off, and that will turn off the internal RF transmitter. And away you shall go. What is even on this memory card? I don't know. I'm going to try the transmitter without it, and we'll see what's what. I feel like there's maybe just like sounds on this memory card. Well, shit. I'm glad maybe our 6 batteries today will be the best 6 batteries that I've ever flown, because the transmitter was all jacked up previously. That was weird. I can't believe I haven't... Shows you how often I actually go. I don't go into the modes or anything. I just turn the transmitter on and fly. That memory card has been in there for a long time, and I haven't noticed it slowing things down like that. That's crazy. 6x1FPV is in the house. What's up, homie? He says, definitely check out Bot's recent video about WTF is happening with FPV. Cool, will do. I will. Jester says, what's up, all? Just got my first whoop, Acroby BLV 465, and after 30 seconds to 1 minute, the OSD disappears and the cam goes almost black. You can see the shadows. Any ideas? Thanks. Stop being a victim of Stockholm Syndrome. Send it back. It's not your fault. Send it back. Don't troubleshoot a brand new product that's having problems. Tell the person that you gave your hard-earned money to send you one that doesn't have the problems. That is my absolute number 1 advice. We all have this weird Stockholm Syndrome of, like, it's our fault. It's all our fault. And usually it is, but if you just bought something, it's not your fault yet. Take advantage of that. Send that shit back. Don't play that game. Don't start fucking around with it. It's probably not fixable anyway. So yeah, send that shit back. Make them send you one that works. If they send you another one that's doing the exact same thing, then maybe you're doing something wrong. But in this case, you're not. Like, it should just work. So yeah, tell them to send you one that just works. Explain to them what's happening. It should not be doing that. There's absolutely no reason that something brand new should be exhibiting that behavior. It has nothing to do with you. EBRFPV says, leave the Sky Zone screen out. It's a butt. Oil out of mount advice. It's a butt. Sky Zone. I don't have anything Sky Zone. I'm confused by that whole chat comment. Tag me again, EBR, and tell me more. I've no idea what any of that means. I don't have anything made by Sky Zone, so I can't leave any Sky Zone screens out. The butt oil thing, I think, might have been the rant that I went on related, but I can't figure it out. I'm tired and old. Sorry. Freelojo says you could find it on YouTube, but it's work to build a VRX. Yeah, I'm not doing it. Prevail says, maybe I missed this before, but do you have PID settings and rates that you use with the Ultimate Freestyle Whoop build? A dump/diff file. Never, ever, 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 ever will I give you guys a dump or diff file. And you should never, ever, ever use a dump or diff file from anyone else unless they fly exactly like you and they have the exact same build as you. Top to bottom, nothing can be different. You can't have used a different gauge of wire for the power lead. You can't have a different number of batteries flown on that rig. It has to be an absolutely identical rig to yours. You can't have crashed a different number of times into in any different scenario for a diff or a dump to properly work. All that being said, nowadays Betaflight, the stock Betaflight setup is so good that you don't really need to worry about that stuff. The stock tune with a good mechanical build is going to be good enough for most people. If the goal is, or you are currently a content creator, and there's going to be a shitload of other people watching your flight footage, then maybe, or you're going to start charging for your footage, then maybe you should move off of the stock tune. But if you're just flying for you, and or you're trying to get better and you're trying to learn, the stock tune is absolutely the best bet for you. If you want to push it, just use the sliders and just read the little tool tips on the left of each slider. It tells you exactly what the slider does, and then you can move it up, fly the rig, move it down, fly the rig, see which one you like better, move to the next slider. Hell, you can even move the sliders up and down inside of your OSD. So yeah, tuning could not be simpler. The top two sliders do the majority of the work, but just read the tooltips. The tooltips explain what each slider does. They explain which bad behaviors it targets, and you move them up to be more aggressive with those bad behaviors. You move them down to be less aggressive. If you move a slider up or down and the rig starts flying worse, move it back. There you go. That's tuning. That's really all that you need to know. There's no need to overcomplicate it. There's no need to do stuff in the CLI. There's no need to do diffs or dumps. All they're going to do is make your life hell and potentially brick a board and just create hours and hours and hours of additional work for you. So that's kind of my take on tuning with a good, but the main thing is if you've got a good build, good frame, good AIO, good motors, good propellers that all work together, you almost don't need to tune at all. If you don't have a good mechanical build and you try to put a Band-Aid on that with tuning, oh boy, are you going to waste some time. And you're going to have a really rough experience. That is the worst possible way of doing it. It's like buying a Honda Civic and then trying to drag race top fuel drag cars. I don't give a shit how good you are at tuning in Honda. A top fuel dragster is going to whoop the shit out of you every single time. You know, you got the mechanical system is what matters. Tuning does not matter. Yes, a good mechanical system with a little bit of tuning flies a tiny little bit better, but the 99% of the flight characteristics of the rig are based on your propeller choice, your motor choice, your frame choice, your AIO choice, rather than how good you are at tuning. And yeah, running somebody else's diff or dump file is a really bad idea, and it's going to lead to more problems than it's going to lead to way more negatives than positives. Gert Jan says, "Hey, CiottiFPV and gang." Frank Nicholas says, "We got what happened here? Did the chat go backwards in time? What's going on?" Frank also says, oh, I think Frank just copied and pasted something that he previously said. That really confused me. Frank also says, if your monitor puts out video and audio, the one with the only video out would be shorting the audio out with the video out. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Your yellow only, you think is video only, may be mono audio. It's sometimes yellow and combines left and right audio. Interesting. Yeah, I'm going to get to the bottom of it for sure. Veritas Weasel says, to get more flying time out of my HD0 goggles, I use an external battery bank with USB-C connector, which is protocol compliant, and a USB-C to barrel connector from Amazon Extra Power. That's a cool idea. Denzel, personally, I hate the whole like battery connected to my goggles thing. I will always run a battery pack up on the goggles. It's just, I just prefer that. Denzel the Terrible says, Frank Nicholas has posted all the knowledge in Livestream Live Discord. Awesome. I can't wait to take a look at that, because I'm really hoping that the little converter box that I have will work, because then there's no, I'm just plugged into the, actually, no. I really wish that these motherfuckers would work, because this would just be so simple. But yeah, I mean, there's the VRX in this is just awful. Has to be that, right? I mean, it's VRX. I'm giving it the right amount of power, and then it's just plugged into HDMI, and it just doesn't work right. So yeah, that thing is definitely broken. Squirrely Nuts says, my Caddx Ant looks washed out outdoors, but okay indoors. Is my camera going bad? It looks totally different to my other Ant cameras. Sounds like it. Yeah, I mean, if you've got more than one Ant and one of them looks worse, then yeah, I would say it's broken. You can try to plug a little remote control up to it and adjust the settings, but you probably haven't adjusted the settings on the other one, so why would that one look any different than the other one? So yeah, it sounds like it's broken. Simon says, for your analog goggles to HDMI, can you not use whatever you use to get your goggles to use on this stream? It's always quality. I cannot. The VRXs for this stream are USB out, and the TVs at this place need HDMI in. Also, that VRX that's USB out, yeah, it's like only it just won't work. IB6748 says, can you tell us about your airsoft days? I myself was heavily involved in the hobby at one point. I am going to keep, oh man, it's 4 o'clock already. I'm going to give you an abbreviated version, but in like the early 2000s, I got into airsoft when I was up in New Jersey. Started a team called Damage Incorporated initially. Eventually we became DEA, Damage Elite Airsoft. That was also when like I opened up a little shop, upgrading and modifying and building guns for people. I had a blast. I was into airsoft for about 8 years. Ran the team, ran a whole bunch of MilSim events. If you search YouTube for Box Truck Down, put the word airsoft in there as well. There it is. Yeah, Box Truck Down is a at the time. I was in school for TV radio, so I was able to do some projects with this stuff. And so yeah, this was like the biggest editing project that I did with airsoft footage. But yeah, this is gonna find an old. Oh wow, this just found both old YouTube channels of mine, Ciotti87, and I also started NJAOC, New Jersey Airsoft Operations Command. Oh, that's right, there was a website and everything. Wow, we went hard. Yeah, there's a whole, but there are more videos in here. Look at this. This is like early days of me learning how to edit. Unfortunately, this is so long ago, 15 years ago, 16 years ago, that like editing was a mess and camera systems were pretty awful back then. But yeah, there's some funny stuff in here. I find it funny. And then yeah, Ciotti87 was the very first YouTube channel I ever made. 17 years ago. Jesus hell. This is actually me playing drums with the company that I worked for back then, Disc Makers up in New Jersey. Our Christmas party every year, it was a company filled with musicians. We were a CD and DVD pressing manufacturing company. And our Christmas party every year, we rented out World Cafe, a pretty famous venue in Philadelphia, and all of the in-house bands would just play all night long. And so a bunch of us on the sales team would practice a couple of weeks ahead of time and then play classic rock stuff. We did that like every year. This particular year, we called ourselves Zepp Boyardee because we were playing Led Zeppelin songs. So yeah, if you want to see me play drums poorly, it's in here. It's not poorly. It's okay. But it's not as good as I once was. So, and if you're not as good as you once were, then of course you suck and you're awful and you should beat yourself for it. Don't do that. It's bad. It's a terrible sickness to do that. What else can I tell you about airsoft? We were one of the bigger teams in the Northeast. We used to practice with Green Mountain Rangers, which was they were one of the best teams up in Massachusetts. There were big games up in Tolland, Massachusetts back then that we would go to that was wild at like a real military training facility. Yeah, it was crazy. I was as obsessed with airsoft as I am with everything else, so it was nuts. And yeah, the gun customizing shop that I ran just out of my apartment was my way of paying for airsoft because I was a broke college kid and a broke post-college kid. So yeah, I was able to build and sell and upgrade enough stuff to cover the cost of the hobby. And I had a great time. Luckily, I didn't lose any teeth or break any teeth doing it. Yeah, it was a great way to keep in shape. Just fun to do. Fun to shoot your friends. Chick with a Stick says, your hair makes me eggplant. It's shorter now. Does it still make you eggplant? H. Rich says, thank you. Having seen Quad 66, excellent review on them. I was hoping someone may have run both. I think the bushings only go up to 28,000. Desperate for a good UK whoop supplier. TinyWhoop's in the house. What's up, Jesse? How are you, brother? P. Richard Scott's here as well. Thank you, dude. Not thank you. Hello, brother. Thank you. Jesus. Frulojo dropping the Patreon link. Thank you, dude. Bob Bruce says, whoop whoop. What's up, everyone? Chuck P says, got my crown frame to test. Ended up spending $100 and remembered your affiliate link. Thank you so much, dude. Very cool of you. ZBear99 says, with the flight controller board USB connection underneath, how do you calibrate the accelerometer without being on a level surface? What a great question. Z-Bear, back in ye olden days of FPV, we had to use stick commands to do everything. So if you go to Google and you type in Betaflight stick commands, you will, and then you go to images, you will find these handy dandy little, actually this is the one that you want. This is the one with a lot of stuff. It says Arducopter, but I think it's the same. Let's just double check. I'm just checking a couple of these. Yeah, it's the same. So this is what you want. And there it is. So if you look on here, you've got calibrate gyro. You don't need to do that. The gyro gets calibrated every single time you power it up. But down here, calibrate accelerometer, this is what you want. So you're going to take your left stick and you're going to go top left with your left stick, and then you're going to go down with your right stick. I don't think it gives you any kind of a it might flash something on the OSD, but it might not. So I always end up doing it a couple times. So just power the quad up, leave it disarmed, just power it up, don't do anything, and just do that stick command. And it might give you a little flash or something, or I think maybe the LED on the flight controller might flash or something. But yeah, just do that stick command a couple of times while it's flat, and now your accelerometer is calibrated with it on a flat surface, and away you go. The other way to do it is to like plug the USB in and then just like hang it off the edge of the table. You can usually kind of finagle it and make that happen, or just use the stick command and away you go. Open that up in a tab on your browser on your phone and just leave it opened, because you'll forget how to search for it in the future. There's all kinds of other good stuff here. You can change your PID profiles here. Don't use the arming and disarming. Of course, there's the left stick left, right stick forward to get into the OSD. I guess those are about the only ones. Battery profile 1, 2, 3. What the hell is that? Actually, I don't even know what that is. Good question, dude. That is an OG trick that most people don't even know about. Z-Bear says that's on the Module 6. Yep, it'll work on that one. Shredder0911 says, I bought the VTX analog receiver you recommended, but haven't found an app yet that works with my Android. What app and device are you using? I run them USB just into the computer, and then OBS sees it as a video source, and I just click it and it just works. I am not an Android person, so I have absolutely no idea, and I know that they don't work on iPhones, so I unfortunately don't know where to send you for an app that works with Android. Does anybody? He's talking about the 5.8 gig receiver that outputs to USB that I show all the time. Veritas says, a battery pack on your goggles while you're flying can explode, causing permanent orange afro. It's better to have a battery pack in your pants because we have blast-proof balls of steel. Technically, that's true, although the batteries that we use on our goggles are very low C rating, and they're very safe. They're not batteries that will typically shoot fireballs and whatnot. So yeah, they're pretty safe to have on your goggles. Edward Jones says, I use the ELRS Lua script Bluetooth BLE Joystick function. Does that also keep the main transmitter function on? I have no idea. My guess would be yes, though. My guess is going to be that it does run the transmitter. You can check it by the way that I showed you. Just go in there and see if it says internal RF on or off. CMYK says, what's up? And Spencer Sharkey says, what is your go-to AIO for built-in VTX and ELRS 465mm whoops? In my opinion, there's really only one AIO that you should be buying for pretty much any 65 or 75 TinyWhoop, and that is the regular old Mobula 6 ELRS that comes in the Mobula 6 ELRS AIO that comes with the Mobula 6 ELRS. It doesn't really have a name. It's just like the Happy Model F4 5 amp AIO. You want to stay away at all costs from the Diamond AIOs. They are worthless. The X12 seems to be kind of okay, but the X12 is an oversized AIO that won't fit into hardly any frames. So usually stay away from that one anyway. The regular old Happy Model Mobula 6 ELRS 1S AIO works on 75mm rigs with big motors, small motors. It works on these 65mm rigs. It is unbelievably durable, and there's no weirdness with it. It just works, and it's cheap. You can get them for like $50-something or buy the whole rig. And yeah, that's it. That's the AIO that you want. None of the other AIOs are even remotely worth it. They all have like weirdnesses, and none of them are as durable as this, which is crazy because this is made by Happy Model, and Happy Model classically makes stuff that's low quality, but they hit a home run on their regular old AIO here, and it's the only one that you should run. All right, cool. Caught up on chat. We need to do some things. So if you have a burning question, tag me by typing CiottiFPV into your chat comment so that it lights up in orange like this. And I will answer it. But otherwise, if your question can wait until like maybe tomorrow night, I want to make sure that I get to comparing the TinyWhoop frames, mailbag, and 6 batteries of the day. Cool? I stole that from Mighty Car Mod. Subscribe to their channel. Show them some love. I asked them if I could use it, but I'm a tiny little guy, and they're a massive channel, so they never got back to me. But hey, at least I asked. Mailbag, yo! I took it out of the box already. Rotor Riot now has a... I didn't think it was going to be this big, but this is a fire-safe LiPo bag. I am a huge fan of Kevlar fire-safe LiPo bags. For me, the only LiPos that will ever not live in a fireproof bag are the TinyWhoop ones, because they don't shoot fire. They just shoot noxious gas when they blow up. All other LiPos bigger than the 1S300 should live always in a LiPo bag. So buy a bunch of LiPo bags so that they're everywhere, and you've always got one that's empty, that if you were going to put a battery on the carpet, you don't put it on the carpet. You put it into a LiPo bag. This way you won't burn your house down and kill your whole family. Cool? So yeah, this is a new LiPo bag that exists. Basically, every time a new LiPo bag comes out, if it's even remotely like the right size, like I don't buy the massive ones, because with a massive LiPo bag, you just build a huge bomb. Like you're putting 40 batteries in there. If one of those batteries goes off, it's going to start a chain reaction, and it's going to be really nasty. So I try to buy smaller LiPo bags so that I only ever have like 5 or 6 or 7 batteries max. That's still a lot. But yeah. So yeah, this is a little Rotor Riot order I did. And so yeah, the LiPo bag is the first thing, and they very coolly put a piece of Velcro and a little cell checker in here, which is awesome. This is big. If I'd known this was this big, I might not have bought it, to be completely honest. But hey, like I said, I like to have a lot of these. Maybe I can find a good use for that. I got a set of the new highest KV 1002 motors, which are the Rotor Riot Dime 1002 24,000 KV. If you already have the previous 1002s I've been recommending, the Flywoo 23,500s, don't get these. Don't buy a whole extra set of motors for 500 more KV. If these motors are overrated... These motors don't have connectors on them. Oh my god, I didn't notice that. Okay. I won't use these motors for a while. But hey, I got them! You jerks. They got me. They got me. Fredis McBean says, next giveaway, dime bag motors. Maybe. I do really want to try these, though, because maybe these are underrated on KV, and maybe these are actually like 25,000 KV or 24,500, and maybe the Flywoo motors are overrated on KV, and instead of 23,500, they're actually like 23 or 22,000. In that case, these would be pretty awesome on a 75 millimeter rig that you're going to bounce off of Jungle Gyms. So I will find something to put these on. Probably not a TinyWhoop, because I'm not into hard soldering motors on TinyWhoops. It is just silly. So these more than likely will end up on a toothpick of some sort that has an AIO that has pads on it that I can't just plug motors in. Wow. God damn it, Larry. Okay, the reason that I did this order was to get this. Rotor Riot is the only place that I could find that has the Walksnail Lite camera in stock. And I've been kind of waiting for this camera for the cinematic 75mm Walksnail fractal build. Because, yeah, I have this, the Walksnail Nano camera on here, but it's just gigantic. It was really hard to get it to fit. The cable's a little bit too short. It's being pinched by the duct. It's kind of a mess. So before I even fly this thing, I'm going to swap this camera out. So we will have another no duct in view. The reason I call it a cinematic rig is because there's no ducts in view. I mean, it's about as good as we're going to get from a cinematic rig that weighs like 30-something grams, though. So Rotor Riot sells an M2 hardware kit, and that's pretty rare. So if you don't have a lot of extra M2 hardware floating around, do yourself a favor and just get one of these kits. It's got M2 by what looks like 8, 10, 12. So it would be 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So it's probably, it says on their website, but it's probably actually, well, so it's got metal M2 nuts, which are actually really hard to find. They're not nylock nuts, but they're really thin. So even just for these nuts, this is a good deal. My guess is going to be M10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So yeah, if you don't have an M2 hardware kit, this is a good one. M2 hardware kits are hard to find. So this is a good deal. I snagged a couple of extra sets of the 1.5mm mount 1.6-inch gem fan biblades. I have some, but I just had some extras. And they've got a bunch of short battery straps. I want to say 150mm and 225 maybe. But yeah, they've got a bunch of short battery straps, and I never don't buy short battery straps because depending on the battery that you run on a micro, there's going to be a specific length battery strap that you absolutely need, and to not have the right length is just super annoying. So yeah, I bought a bunch, and now I won't need to buy a bunch more. So that was my little Rotor Riot order that I did. I bought a bunch of extra stuff to get up above the free shipping. This was the box from Pyrodrone with the second one of these in it. that also doesn't work. So now I'm gonna have to ship this all back to them, which is super annoying. And then this is a box from Newbie Drone that they sent over very kindly. They fixed that Hummingbird AIO that blew up on me. So now I have an extra Hummingbird V3 AIO. But the really cool thing in here is that they sent me a bunch of the production Cockroach 65 V3 frames. I think Kelvin might have been watching the live stream where I said, like, I would like to put a Cockroach V3 frame on this rig, but I don't have any extras. But he did write another customer note upping the ante yet again. Yo, Ciotti, this PC material, Cockroach V3 frame, is even stronger than the previous one you tested on live. It's hard and strong, just like you. It doesn't say just like you. I bet you can't destroy it, LOL. Previously, they had sent me... When they sent me the production frame, he said, I bet you can't break it. And I was like, I just made like a big dramatic deal out of it, like I sometimes do. I haven't been able to break it, though. So if this one is even more strong, then I certainly won't be able to break it. The Cockroach 65 V3 frame is the one that's kind of impressed me the most so far. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute, because we are about to dive into a comparison of all the current TinyWhoop frames that are worth a shit. So yeah, they sent me 4, which is very cool. At least one of these will certainly end up in the upcoming giveaways. 2 black and 2 clear, which is fantastic. Hold on, before we dive into the frame comparison though, let me just finish up the story of today from chasing the RC drift cars. I might as well play a little bit more of the footage while I'm talking through this. So yeah, this is me at this really cool event today. There were a ton of drivers, a ton of cars there. So I get there. I had just changed the ducts on the 65 millimeter walk snail fractal, like cinematic-ish build. So when I changed the ducts, apparently I was a little too hard on one of the motors. And so I put a battery on, I go to fly, and it just won't take off. The right front motor was having a really hard time. I realized pretty quickly that the motor shaft had slipped on the bell. So I'm like, that's fine. I brought a bunch of other rigs. I had another rig with these exact same motors on it, which are the Weebleed 0702 32,500 kV. So I take it was the Weebleed Freestyle rig. I take that thing out. I go to remove one of the motors off of it, and I had put the peak screws on it, and apparently I had just cranked the peak screws down a little bit too tight, because even with a screwdriver that fit pretty well in them, they strip out. So one motor strips out, the next motor strips out, the next motor strips out. I got frustrated, and I just broke one of the motors off of the peak screws. I just took the motor and just yanked it off, and it broke the peak screws. Well, now I've got the threads from the peak screws buried up in the motor stator base. So eventually I realized I can put another screw in there and mash the broken threads out, but now it mashes them out up into the bell, and now the motor won't spin because the plastic threads are between the stator and the motor. So now I'm trying to dig those out. I finally managed to dig them out. I put that motor on, and it's spinning in the wrong direction. And of course, I don't have a laptop, nor does anyone else. So now I take that motor off. I go through the same goddamn thing with another motor, put that on, and it is spinning in the right direction. And I did get to fly, but it was really frustrating for a little while there. And like by the time I started flying, I was so pissed off from all of that I was just not flying all that well. And then after a couple of batteries, one of the new ducts that I put on here broke, and then the rig was vibrating and rattling all over the damn place. I think by this point the duct was broken, and it just wasn't flying right. There were just additional. There were just too many vibrations getting into the flight controller, and it was just upset and not flying all that well. And I was all pissed off and like just angry, and so I wasn't flying all that well. So yeah, this is not the best chase footage, but I still had an okay time eventually. After like 10 or so batteries, like I finally kind of settled down a little bit, and I don't know. I think I got a little bit of decent footage, but who knows? So yeah, that's the story of this RC Drift event today. I was able to get it up on the screen, which you can see over here, and everybody was like blown away, as they always are. So that was fun. But there were also these a couple of guys that brought their kids with them, and of course they're asking 1,000 questions, so that was frustrating me as well. But hey, that's life sometimes. Welcome to FPV, right? So let's talk about all of the currently available, what I deem to be good, TinyWhoop frames. There are basically, Adam C says, I need that nano cam you're taking off. I will buy it. I have it. I'm going to be using it. Sorry, dude. I'm going to be using it on toothpicks. The screw mount nano walk snail cams are great for toothpick rigs. So I have 2 of them. They're both going on toothpicks. Adam Weston says, anybody put lipos in the fridge? Suggestion was 5 degrees Celsius. You don't want to do that. Lipos actually perform a lot better when they get a little bit of extra heat in them. Like 100 or so degrees Fahrenheit, I believe, is where they start to work really well. So putting them in a refrigerator is actually going to make them run terrible. They might be safer there, but yeah, they're not. They're going to sag like crazy being really cold like that. CMYK says, my question is burning. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, I think he was just making fun of me. CMYK dropping the CiottiFPV.com link. Thank you, dude. Northern Tier says, FPV Droid on Google Play Store. Maybe is that the Android application to make the VRX work? For whoever was asking. Spencer Sharkey said, oh, we got that? Okay, cool. We're caught up. So, in my opinion, there are 2 really, really, really good TinyWhoop frames that stand out for me. I have 2 favorites. There's a third one that's almost as good, and then the last 2 are just kind of not as good and or like very specific. And I'm going to spoil it all and just give you the long and short of it right now. The best current TinyWhoop frame, in my opinion, is the NBD Cockroach 65 V3. It's not perfect, but it has the best combination of attributes. So this is my number 1, NBD Cockroach 65 V3. The number 2, in a close second, is the old school Meteor 65 frame by Beta FPV. In a close third place is the Weebleed FPV Crown frame. In 4th-ish place would be the Fractal frame, but the Fractal frame is really only good, in my opinion, for cinematic stuff where you can't have the ducts in view. For freestyle, this is kind of the worst of the frames for me, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. And then the worst of the good frames is the Meteor 65 Air. This is the second one that I have broken in less batteries than it took. Like, in the same number of batteries, 2 of these damn things have broken, and the NBD Cockroach frame survived. The old school Meteor 65 frame is just like damn near full-blown invincible, so it's just amazing. And then the Weebleed FPV Crown frame has survived. So this is a later a version 2 prototype Crown frame that I am going to be retiring, but it held up perfectly well. It's now got peak screws like buried in it that I couldn't get out. And it also, I've just thrown so much abuse at this. Zotex sent me all of these fancy colored ones, so I might as well swap these guys on. The main reason that the Crown frame is not in like the top 2 is that the ducts, you can see it on this one here. You see how this duct is not really round anymore? After about, I don't know, maybe 100 batteries, which is a lot, man. This thing held up to a shitload of abuse. And like, I crash hard. Like, there are not many people that are going to put more abuse into these as me. But eventually what happened is these ducts started to get out of round. And so you would go to take off and there'd be a propeller banging against the duct. And you'd have to come in here and you would have to like, all right, which one is it? Okay, it's this one. All right, so let me just bend it. And I'm going to bend it back straight. And then, okay, it kind of looks round. Let's try it. And you spin it up in turtle mode. It's still hitting. Okay, let me... And then you go out and you fly it for a little bit and you crash it really hard. And then it bends out of round again. You got to go get it. And then you got to bend it back straight. This is something that's going to happen with ultra lightweight frames, right? Like this frame is designed to be unbelievably lightweight. This is the name of the game. The Meteor 65 Air frame did the exact same thing. There's a weak spot in the Meteor 65 Air frames on like right here and right over here. It's the spot where they all break. And the same exact thing happened. You can like see it right here, hopefully. This is coming out of round, and when it comes enough out of round, the duct hits the propeller, and you got to sit here and bend it back. The Meteor 65 airframe actually does it worse, but I think the ducts are a little bit bigger, so it takes more to get the duct to hit the propeller. But in these weak spots, that's where this frame breaks. The Meteor 65 airframe, in my opinion, is just not a frame that anybody should run. These I have seen these have not been out long, and I've seen so many of these broken. Unless you don't crash, which you should, because it's a TinyWhoop and it's just super fun to try sketchy things and crash. It's really not the frame for you. What I can say is that it's the lightest weight frame. So if you don't fly, if you're just building it to have bragging rights and you're not planning on flying it, which, let's be honest, sometimes happens, or you just don't crash, this is the lightest weight frame. And that's the only reason that you should get this frame, is if you don't fly the rig or you never crash. Those are the only scenarios. Dude, it is fucking freezing in here. Why is it so cold in here? Hold on. Did somebody leave the garage door open? What's happening? I'm dying. Garage doors are closed. I'm going to close this door in here, and I'm going to turn this little space heater way the hell up. Because, oh yeah, so the space heater turned off. That explains it. Okay. All right, space heater turned off. All right, cool. So, yeah, those are the only scenarios that I think anybody should really be running one of these Meteor 65 airframes. I had really high hopes. I love how lightweight this frame is. I love the little pockets that they did on the motors. There's a bunch of really cool stuff about this frame, but it's just got this, it's just got this, there's just a point in the duct where every time you crash, all of the energy seems to go to that point, and it just flexes it and flexes it and flexes it and flexes it, and then eventually the duct goes out around, and you have to flex it back in the other direction. After you do that a couple of times, it becomes weak in that spot, and it just breaks. This, in my opinion, is like an engineering fail. Like they should have. I don't know how you would do this, but I wish that they had engineered it in a way that it doesn't just flex this one specific spot all the time. But hey, it's hard to make products. So Meteor 65 airframe, in my opinion, is kind of a fail, and I don't think that you should run it because crashing is a part of the game, and it's a good part of the game, which is, again, such a shame because it's the lightest weight frame. I guess I'll hang on to this one because I hang on to things. Regular old Meteor 65 frame, just the best, maybe just the best ever. You know it, you love it. They're super durable. They actually have the same problem, but it's just so much more of a significant frame that it, like eventually it will break in that same spot, but boy, do you have to put a lot of abuse into it to get to that point. So yeah, this frame is beefy enough that even though it has that weird issue where it puts all of its crash energy into this one little spot here, it stands up for many, 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 many batteries. So the OG Meteor 65 frame, in my opinion, is probably like the best of the frames, just because it's a no-brainer. It's heavier than the rest of these, but it's more durable. It's been out forever. Yeah, it's just an awesome frame. So old school, regular old Meteor 65, just like get a bunch. Have a couple extras on hand at any given time. They're like $4 whole. It'll always come in handy. For somebody that's getting into the hobby that's new, breaks their TinyWhoop, here you go, man. Here's one of my extra Meteor 65 frames. You're good to go. So yeah, Meteor 65, amazing frame. I think, like, for most people, this is the best frame. Cool. Weebleed FPV crown frame. It's this one was like the version 2 of the prototype. These ones I think are maybe still prototype, or these might be like the production ones at this point. These colors are awesome. Super bright orange, super bright yellow, super bright green, really cool red, like a blood Weebleed red, a nice pink, and a clear. And there are a couple more colors coming. This was, I believe this was like a color test that Zotac did for these frames. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, so one of these is going to be, my Weebleed rig is going to be put back into these. I can't speak to this version. I can only speak to the version 2 prototype. Maybe these ones are a little bit more durable than the prototype one. The main issue that I had with the prototype is what I was talking about, in that the ducts kept coming out around and I had to keep putting them back. I did want to weigh the version 2 prototype against what Zotac just sent me, because that can give me a little bit of a clue as to the material that's being used. So this version 2 prototype is 2.93 grams. This one that he just sent me is 2.92. So I really doubt that they're a different material. So unless he changes the material in the future, all the feedback that I've given you about this Weebleed FPV crown frame is accurate. It's really good. It's really lightweight. It's got these little nubs that sit it up off the carpet a little bit, making it easier to turtle mode. Yeah, it's a really good frame. It's a really strong contender for frame. I wish that the duct material here was either a little bit thicker, or I wish that it had a little bit more of a contour to it. The Newbie Drone Cockroach V3 frame, they put a really aggressive one of these on the material. The Meteor 65 and the Air and the Weebleed frame. I'm gonna have to show you this. It's hard to explain, but you'll see what I mean. So this is the Cockroach frame, Cockroach 65 V3. Look at see that angle there? See that little swoop that they put in there? That makes this duct really strong in this direction, right? They added some three-dimensionality to it, and they have plastic going almost left to right, right? And that makes it really strong. The rest of these frames, that whoop area, or the duct area rather, is pretty flat. And because of that, they deflect like crazy. And when they deflect like crazy, eventually they deform. Like I'm gonna squeeze these with the same amount of force, and look how much it deflects. Ready? So it's a lot of deflection there, right? I swear to God, I'm squeezing that the same amount, and it barely deflects. But this frame is really not any heavier than the Weebleed crown frame. But we're gonna talk more about the Newbie Drone frame in a minute. The crown frames have really cool colors, which I dig. The battery mounting is just good. It's a really solid choice. If you're doing a WeBleed order, get the crown frame. Try it for yourself. See if you like it. It is like I said, it's a really close third place for me. Maybe even on par with the Meteor frame because it's lighter. Like the old school Meteor frame is more durable, but it's significantly heavier than this. So yeah, they have kind of pluses and minuses, and they're either a tie for second place or, yeah, maybe I like the old Meteor frame a little bit better. But before I forget, let me give you some quick weights on these. WeBleed FPV crown frame, the current generation in green, 3.02 grams, just call it 3 grams. The Newbie Drone Cockroach 65 V3, 3.9 grams without the carbon fiber brace. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Old school Meteor 65 frame, the one that you want. If you're going to run a Meteor 65 frame, it should be this one. 3.3 grams. And then the Meteor 65 Air frame is 2.61 grams. Call it 2.65 grams, right? Definitely the lightest, but man, it's just too fragile. The only other frame... No, never mind. Never mind. The fractal frame, I mean, you got to run ducts with it, and then, like, which ducts do you run? Do you run the ducts from the crown frame? Do you run the ducts from the Newbie Drone frame? Do you run the ducts from the Meteor 65? I don't know. Whichever duct you run is going to change the weight of the frame. So the fractal frame is tough to weigh. What I can tell you is the carbon fiber weighs 1.7 grams, and a fractal build is always going to be heavier, and it's always going to be less efficient, and it's always going to make less thrust. But you're not going to have ducts in view, which is a deal breaker for some people. So that's really the power of the fractal frame, but we're going to cover that more in a second. WeBleed FPV crown frame, I think I've kind of said everything that I have to say about it. It's a really decent choice. Pick one up. These frames are like $3 or $4 or $5 each. Just grab them, try them, see which ones you like the best. Nothing wrong with the crown frame. It's just, you know, they made some sacrifices to save weight, and one of those sacrifices was the thickness of these ducts, and I would really prefer them to be a little bit thicker to avoid all of the deformation and then having to spend a good amount of time rounding them back out. I think Chuck said they're not really available yet, right? I think they actually are. I think there is a way to order these on their website in the crazy colors. Don't quote me on that, though. WeBleed might be in the chat. WeBleed's in the chat. Zotek is in the chat. Can people buy these awesome colored ones yet? If you can, you should. Snag a set of 0702 32,500 kV motors from their website while you're at it, and do me a favor and use my affiliate link. I'm going to trash this version 2 prototype because it's got peak screws buried in it, and I've just beat it so bad that the ducts are like super deformed. And Zotek sent me a bunch of these cool colored ones. So yeah, this is the all WeBleed rig. It is going to go back together. I got to just figure out what color to put it in. Very important decision. We'll save the best for last. Let's talk about the fractal frame. Eves is a great dude, and we're very lucky to have him. Eves is the mastermind behind fractal engineering. Dude is awesome. He's got like he has given a lot to the FPV community. A lot of good. He's got a lot of really fancy electronic technician goodies, oscilloscopes and stuff like that. He's one of the people that confirmed my suspicion that the Happy Model Diamond frames are incredibly noisy, electrically noisy. And yeah, he's done a whole bunch of amazing myth busting. Great guy. He is pretty much the only one that has figured out how to make a carbon fiber TinyWhoop frame that works at all, which is awesome. And I love that this frame exists. in my opinion, though, this is the worst of the frames for freestyle. The main reason being a carbon fiber frame that you're then going to mount these tiny little motors to that have tiny little 1mm motor shafts. This frame exposes the problem with only having a 1mm motor shaft, which is that the motor shaft is not strong enough. If you've never pulled one of these motors apart, you've got one solid motor shaft that goes through the bell down into the stator. And so that motor shaft is what the bell rotates around. And if that motor shaft bends, now the bell wobbles every time around, and that puts too many vibrations into the frame, and then it starts flying like ass. If you have a tune that's cranked up, it's going to oscillate and fly away on you, or it's just going to heat the motors up. It's just all bad. Bending motor shafts is really bad. And if you fly even remotely hard, you're going to bend motor shafts no matter what. If you fly even remotely hard and you have a carbon fiber brace on your TinyWhoop, you're going to bend a lot of motor shafts. Essentially, what happens is when you have a carbon fiber brace, or in this case, an entire carbon fiber frame, the reason why I mentioned carbon fiber braces is that you can run a carbon fiber brace on the Newbie Drone Cockroach 65 V3 frame. It's a separate thing that you have to buy from Newbie Drone, but you can run it. I don't recommend that you run it for all of the reasons we're about to talk about with this. The carbon fiber is really strong, so you mount a motor to it, and then you smash into something. All of that energy tries to bend the motor shaft, and if your motor shaft is only 1mm, it's going to bend. And that's my experience with the Fractal frames. I have never broken and bent as many motors as I have running Fractal frames. There's really no solution to that. The solution is, it's really weird. Like the plastic frames, you know, they don't isolate. Like what's nice about the carbon fiber frame is that it isolates the motors. It isolates the AIO, the gyro and the AIO from the vibrations coming through the motors, until you've bent the motor and created a situation where there are too many vibrations for it to isolate that out, and then it goes bananas. Believe it or not, the plastic frames do a much better job with this, because when you smash into stuff, like you can see it. Look at the motor mount base. Look at it move. So when you smash into something, the motor moves. And this whole, like the entire quarter of the frame absorbs all of the energy, and it absorbs it much more slowly. And what ends up happening is you don't bend motor shafts very often when you run any of these plastic frames, so your motors last a long time. And so that is the Achilles heel of the Fractal frame. If you're going to run a fresh set of motors and not crash, this frame is amazing. It's still not the best because it blocks a significant amount of thrust because it exists, right? Like on a plastic frame, the duct here and the guards, like the supports are the only things blocking thrust, and that never changes. With this, you've got these two guys here blocking thrust, but then you've got to put a duct on it. So now you put a duct on it, and it has its own things that are blocking thrust. Hell, if you use the Meteor 65 ducts, they've got 6 of these damn things blocking thrust. So with a Fractal build, it ends up making less thrust and being less efficient because of that. There are just additional things in the way of the airflow, and that makes a significant difference on such a small little TinyWhoop. So this is why I say that, in my opinion, the Fractal frames are really only good if you cannot have ducts in view. And if that's the case, God, are they good. Here's the other sub-reason, and this is pretty specific, but if you're going to go chase RC drift cars, this frame is also brilliant because it puts the camera as low as possible. And when you're trying to chase those little RC drift cars, the difference in how good your footage looks from being like a half an inch off the carpet versus an inch and a half off the carpet is night and day. Like when I dump down and put the camera on these guys' door, it's the coolest thing ever. And the fractal frame literally allows me to do that better because the camera is all the way up front and it's all the way down low. When you're flying, you got a little bit of up tilt. And when you look at where the carpet is versus where the camera is, it is as low as possible. Versus any of these normal frames, even if you're literally scraping the carpet, the camera is all the way up here. And that, with a little bit of up tilt, that's like a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch different. And I know this sounds insane, but it makes a massive difference. My flight footage from the fractal builds is so much better than the flight footage from all of these other builds. So if the goal is to chase an object that is impossibly low to the ground, it's a fractal frame. Just don't freestyle it. The other thing that happens with the fractal frames is you break ducts. Again, because you've got the duct mounted to solid carbon fiber, so it just, in crashes, the energy... I think the main thing that's going on is that with the fractal builds, during a crash, you've got a sharp impact, and that sharp impact, like that energy goes through the plastic into the carbon, and it has nowhere to go. These plastic frames, they're so bendy that in an impact, there's no sharpness. It just, everything is slowly handled, and that helps everything survive. The motor, the frame, Christ, probably even like the gyro and the AIO and maybe even the camera, right? So if you're going to be crashing a lot, in my opinion, you have to do it in a plastic frame. If you're going to be completely cinematic and you're going to really try to not crash, which is what this build is, and I still break the damn things, the fractal frame is brilliant. And if you have some runtime to spare, if like like I was saying earlier, I get barely 2 minutes out of this build. Yes, it has walk snail on it, and that has the majority of the that has the most to do with that. But I also have an analog version of the fractal build that I again love. But the runtime that I get with this analog build is almost a minute less than with the regular, the more standard TinyWhoop builds. And again, I mean, you can see it. Like, look at how much obstruction there is on this, right? To the thrust. Everything's backwards in OBS. Versus that, right? Like, that's night and day. Look how much of my big dumb face here. Hold on, let's rotate this prop out of the way. Look how much of my big dumb face you can see through there, and then versus there, right? Like, look at all those obstructions to thrust. It has a really, it really makes a big difference, more than you'd think. So that's the fractal frame. They're really cool. It's really cool to play around with. Just, in my opinion, don't freestyle with them. If you want to do a freestyle build with a fractal frame, to me, the only realistic way to do it is to go up to a 75mm build that you're going to fly outside around jungle gyms and whatnot. Is my favorite thing to do with TinyWhoops outside. And then you're going to buy motors that have a 1.5mm motor shaft, like the Flywoo 1002 23500s, like the Rotor Riot Dime 1002s if you're silly enough to direct solder motors, or like the very difficult to get our hands on TinyWhoop iGal limited edition and Snowblower 0802 25 and 27,000 kV motors. Jesse, if you're still in here, any idea when either one of those will be coming back in stock? We are still all desperate, myself included, for those motors. So I get so many people asking for those motors, and like I want an extra set of those motors. I only have one set of each, and I'm dying to get more. So that's the fractal frame in a nutshell. I love that it exists. It's just, yeah, if you put a motor with a 1mm motor shaft on it, you're going to bend them, and you're going to bend them a lot. And it's going to, if you're like me, it's going to drive you mad. If you don't care and you're willing to just buy a whole bunch of extra motors and just swap them on all the time, great. But you're going to get less thrust and less runtime, which is kind of tough. The best 65 millimeter frame today, in my opinion, is the NBD Cockroach 65. And the first thing I want to show you is like the main reason that I find it to be the best. And it's a pretty specific reason, but just bear with me here. There's like, it's durable. It's, it ticks a lot of boxes, but there's this one thing about this frame that really makes it stand out. And I'm going to get I can just show you on here. So what I want you to look at is the height of the part of the duct here that the propeller rides around. All right, so I'm gonna put all these flat on the table, and I want you to notice the height here. And I need to put something dark in the background so that you can see that. Will that work? That'll work. That'll work. So just notice the heights. This is the Weebleed crown frame. So we're going to do comparisons, right? So this is the old school Meteor 65 on the right, and then the Weebleed crown frame on the left. And I'm going to put in here, I'm going to put these dead even with, well, let's do this. Let's do this so you know that I'm not faking it. All right. Man, is that tough to see. But basically, they're pretty much the same. The Meteor 65 sits a little bit higher. What I want you to really notice, though, is the height of the bottom. That's the most important part. The height of the bottom of the actual guard. Yeah, no, it makes sense to do it this way, because then you can actually see. It's hard to see these. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right, so see the height of the bottom? So the Weebleed is a little bit lower than the old school Meteor 65. So let's take the Meteor 65 out, and let's take a look at the Meteor 65 Air. And hold on. There's got to be a better way to show this. Yeah, there we go. This is how I'm going to be able to show it. All right, cool. Weebleed crown on the left, Meteor 65 Air on the right. Meteor 65 Air, the duct is way higher. See that? I'll hit you again with the old school Meteor. Duct is way higher. Look how much higher that is. That's ridiculous. See that? And it's actually too high. You can probably guess where we're going with this, but this is too high. Even this is too high, believe it or not. So that's comparing those two. Now we're going to compare the NBD Cockroach frame. And as well, so hold on a second. Where's that other? Where the hell would it go? Where's that other? There it is. Let's compare these. Let's compare two naked ones. All right, so we're not getting the full story because of the motor mount base. All right. Weebleed crown on the left, NBD V3 on the right. It looks like the NBD is a little bit higher, but it's actually not. The NBD frame has the duct ring the lowest that I've ever seen. And where you can really tell it, basically, the reason why this isn't working is, me showing it to you like this, is that the thickness of the mount base here on the NBD frame, it's a little bit thicker, so it's sitting up off the table a little bit more. What I actually care about is the distance, all right, the distance from here, where the motor is going to mount to here, to the bottom of the duct. And NBD has it about as good as I've ever seen it. And where that shows up is how and now this material is too opaque to see through, but the propeller, the tip of the propeller in the newbie drone frame, there you can really see it. It actually rides around inside of the duct. If you look at any of these, and this is not a fair comparison because this is actually a 3mm tall motor. Look how bad it is. This is a Meteor 65 frame with a 0603 prototype motor on it. Even with the extra 1mm of stator height, if you don't focus soon, I'm going to light you on fire, Logitech. Please. You have one job in life. There you go. This is a 3mm tall motor, and yet the prop, well, yeah, I guess it does finally with an 0603. The propeller finally starts to run around in there. But you can see the tip of the propeller is even farther down. With an 0702 in this Meteor 65 frame and the Meteor 65 Air, the tip of the propeller, like half of the tip of the propeller is down below. Here we go. Here we go. Here I can show it to you. This is the way that the Meteor frames line up. Please! Please! Come on! Work! Oh my god. Logitech, I hope you burn. There we go. And it immediately goes right out of focus. There it is. With an 0702, there you can really see it. The tip of the propeller is way down out. And so what happens is when you crash, the propeller hits the standoff right there. And there's 6 of those standoffs. So on most crashes with the Meteor 65 frames, and the Weebleed Crown frame does it. It doesn't do it as bad, but it still does it. On most crashes, the propeller comes around, the duct pushes in, the propeller hits the standoff rather than rubbing around the actual duct, and it just stops it. And our brushless motors are not sensored, so they do not like to stop. When our motors stop, they have a really hard time getting started again. And with a TinyWhoop, when you're flying in these tiny little enclosed areas inside of our houses or our apartments, you just crash. Like in a lot of crashes, it'll push it in, it'll stall the propeller out, and by the time the motor gets started again, you're already on the ground flopping around. I literally notice with the Cockroach 65 V3 frame that it does that less often. There are more scenarios that with this frame that I can bump into something and it just bounces right off and just keeps going as if nothing ever happened. The Weebleed frame is noticeably worse with that. The Meteor frames are hands down the worst because they've got 6 of the standoffs, and because, as we saw, the duct is just even higher on these guys. All that being said, the old school Meteor 65 frame is so beefy that it actually happens probably about the same amount as with the Weebleed Crown frame. I really noticed it with the Meteor 65 Air frame. It was like no matter what I bumped into, it would drop that motor and fall out of the sky. It was one of the other things that drove me insane about the 65 Air frame. So 65 Air frame is the worst when it comes to this. The next worst would be the regular Meteor 65 and the Crown frame, and then the best for sure is the Cockroach frame. The Cockroach frame also benefits from the extra 3-dimensionality of the ducts, which make the ducts more stiff, so when you hit stuff, the stiffer duct does not push into the propeller as easily as some of these other ones. So that is kind of like my favorite thing about the Cockroach 65 V3 frame, but also it's nice and lightweight. We weighed them a little bit ago. It only has 3 supports, which are very aerodynamic supports. So you're going to get a little bit more thrust and a little bit more efficiency out of this. Pretty much the same as the Weebleed Crown frame. It also has 3 supports that are aerodynamic supports. The Cockroach 65 frame has these little nubs back here that you can put a little mini Mortal T antenna if you want to do like long range ish stuff with it. You can put a crazy T antenna in there. They have this really cool setup where not only do you have the mounting posts on top, but they put mounting posts below as well. So technically, you can cut this battery tray off and you can put a walk snail AIO on the bottom or on the top, and then your regular AIO on the bottom or the top. And then you just got to figure out a spot to put your battery. So that's pretty cool. In fairness, this is something that I actually don't like about this frame. When you put your batteries in here, the battery sits up against this post. And what it does is it'll be hard for me to show you, but it leaves like little railroad tracks down the batteries when you put them in and out. It's really no big deal, but that might see it there. You see it? See the scrape down there? That's from that little post. And I guess eventually it'll put a little dent in the battery. But man, that's gonna take a long time, and like, it's really not that bad. Like, I've been using these frames for a while, and yeah, it barely does anything. But if I had to nitpick the Cockroach 65 frame, that would really be the nitpick. It's just that battery mounting setup is not as good as just like the totally standard, little battery pocket that most other frames kind of have. But, they did that for a reason, and it's really cool that there's the extra set of little standoff mounts here. And then the other really cool thing about this frame is that they make and sell a carbon fiber brace for it. So if you're going to not crash it, you can spend a couple extra bucks and get a really cool little carbon fiber brace. That drops right in. Oh, I do have another negative that I need to talk about with this frame, but it's funny. It's a negative that has a positive as well. You can put a little carbon fiber brace in here, and it flies really, really nicely. You'll be able to run less filtering and higher PIDs. Just don't crash, because you'll really beat the hell out of your motors. So yeah, the carbon fiber brace is cool. I don't recommend it, but it's neat that it exists. Shit, what was I just going to say? So, because this frame is set up for a carbon fiber brace, these motor mount pads have had to be pocketed. See it? See how it's pocketed? That's so that the carbon fiber brace will drop in there. Well, when you don't run the carbon fiber brace, the thickness of this motor mount base is like, I don't know how to finish that sentence, but the motor mount base is really thin. Luckily, they give you a set of really short motor screws that you have to use with this frame. So that's just a little thing. What's cool about that, though, is that these are lighter. So these pretty much weigh what peak screws weigh, so you get all the strength of metal, but all of the light weight of peak screws. So I kind of like that about this frame, but make sure that you don't accidentally run regular motor screws with this frame, because you could potentially damage your motors. And there's a big difference. There's a really big difference in the length of these screws. So that's something that you need to know about this frame. If you use the carbon fiber brace, you're good. So yeah, that's what I think about all of like the currently viable TinyWhoop frames. The old school Meteor 65 is the no-brainer. We all used them for so long. They're just like, they're just good, man. They're just really, really good. They're really strong. They hold up really well. They do crack in this one same spot that the airframe cracks in, but it takes a lot of abuse to get to that point. Oh, I just found my black broken Meteor 65 airframe. Yeah, so here you go. Here are the two Meteor 65 airframes that I have broken in the exact same number of batteries that I ran a Weebleed crown frame and a Cockroach 65 V3, neither of which broke at all. So yeah, the Meteor 65 airframe it's just too fragile, which is a shame because it's the lightest weight. But hey, when you make stuff really lightweight, guess what? They become fragile. So yeah, there you go. I'm going to sit here for far too long trying to figure out what color frame to rebuild. So like when I was trying to get another motor onto this thing so that I could just actually fly today, I took all the motors off of my Weebleed rig. Hey, we got to do our 6 batteries a day though. Let me try to do the 6 batteries a day while I talk through whatever questions are remaining in chat. This ought to be interesting. I think I only have one build put together because I cannibalized the Weebleed rig to find one motor that would work for this. And the other, well, okay, so we'll do this. I do have another rig that's together. It's got the crazy motors on it. It's got the EX 0802 30,000 kV motors. So this thing is super fat. You'll hopefully be able to see a big difference in weight between these two rigs. But Ultimate Freestyle TinyWhoop with the TinyWhoop.com 0702 32,000 kV motors, which are beat and old and just smashed, that I put grease in 2 live streams ago, 2 days ago, 1 live stream ago. And then we're also going to interchange that with this Ultimate Freestyle TinyWhoop that doesn't have the right motors on it. These are the lightweight Happy Model 802 30,000 kV motors with tri-blades, which I also don't like. You'll see me crash this a lot. I'm not used to it. I don't like the way this flies. I just like to test stuff. This thing I should be able to rip pretty decent on, although the motors are kind of old and beat, so I'll probably still have a hard time. But yeah, can't skip our 6 batteries a day. I'm not going to skip it. You shouldn't either. Let's fire up a transmitter and a set of goggles, and I will try to work through the rest of these questions before we part ways for the afternoon. Adam CF, no, we got that. Phil the Feigning Goat says, I'm relatively new to FPV. Just wanted to say thanks for being my whoop guru along the way. You're certainly welcome, man. It's my pleasure. CMYK says, King Me, crown, parentheses, crown frame. What's that mean? Michael Kajas says, there is a perfect AIO for those motors with solder pads, Diamond. Not true at all. The Diamond is the most worthless AIO ever produced. I will never, ever, ever run another Diamond AIO. They're just a nightmare. And you know what? The Diamond AIO probably wouldn't work with these motors because it's too electrically noisy and these motors are too powerful. The Diamond AIO only really works with very, very low power motors. This is why Happy Model only put 19,000 kV motors onto the builds with those Diamonds, in my opinion. I'm not... that's just what I think. I could be wrong about that. I'm not, but... yeah, the Diamond AIOs are the worst. ZBear99 says, you can answer some other time, that's cool, but your preferred tri-bladed props for the Mobula 6 are Gemfan 1208s or 1219s. 1208s for sure. All the old school TinyWhoop props are way too pitchy, way too draggy. You want the new ones. The 1208s are the best of the tri-blades. CMYK says, for these 65mm frames, do you think having a round puck to set into the duct while heating the duct up will reset it back to normal wood or 3D printed TPU? It almost certainly would, but when it would just bend right back even easier. When you start to bend plastic, it finds a weak point, and then that weak point gets worse and worse and worse. So even if you use some fancy thing to bend it back straight, it's going to come out of round easier the next time, and then easier the next time, and then easier the next time, and it's just, yeah, it's just no good. June Logo says, have you tried flashing Quicksilver? I have a long time ago. It didn't do anything for me. If you're just desperate to try something different, yeah, maybe. But it's not as good as Betaflight. It never will be as good as Betaflight. Betaflight is the best firmware, period. There's no questioning that. Anybody that questions that either doesn't know what they're talking about, or they have some financial or personal reason to swear that something not as good is better. Look, Beta Flight has had more engineers working on it for a longer period of time than all of the other flight firmwares combined. So how would Beta Flight not be significantly better than everything else? Right? Like, you put tons more time and money and effort into something, of course it's going to be way better. It's a completely unfair fight. But again, if you're just desperate to try something else, go right ahead. Don't, but never, ever, ever say that something is better than Betaflight, because it's just not true. And that's been proven by so many people for so many years now. And yeah, so, and for me personally, I want to fly the best stuff, and I want to fly the same thing over and over and over again, because that's how you get good as a pilot. So for me, sticking with Betaflight and not spending a lot of time trying other stuff is really important, because I want to be as good as I possibly can be. If you're just in it to have fun, though, try different stuff, because trying different stuff is fun. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't see the point. It's so hard to fly these things anyway that, like, I want to do everything possible to try to shorten the amount of time that it takes me to get good. And I'm still in the process of getting good. Simon says, is the new VTX Cockroach V2 much different from the new V3? Totally different. V2s are still available in the UK. The V1 and V2 Cockroach frames they wouldn't even show up on today's list. They're just too heavy, basically. So yeah, stay away from the old Cockroach frames. Gert Jan says, advice, which TinyWhoop to buy just for fun? Mobula 6 ELRS, for sure. Simon says, replace 3 lost mag... No, here, hold on. Let's actually get a quad up in the air, and I can talk through these while I'm flying, because I am running out of time. And I'm starving. I'm getting cranky. You know how it is with me. You guys know how it is with me. This is the rig with the VTX that's on the way out. I think this AIO is actually on its way out. Very strangely, though, as soon as you arm it, the VTX starts working properly. Gert Jan asks, I thought I'd be able to read it, but I can't. Simon asks, replace 3 lost magnets and 2 happy Model 702s, tiny things. Motors are back to working perfectly, so now I feel like NASA engineer. I know it's not big to most, but surprised fairly easily. I can't believe that those motors work, to be honest. Brandon's Baked Bean says, metal sculptures are pretty cool thing to do outside whoop ripping around too. Agreed. Chick with a Stick says, do you know when the V2 TinyWhoop prop popper is coming out? I do not, but man, it can't come out soon enough. Morton Upshot says, what is the purpose of the spines on the prop guard? Is it all cosmetic? Partly cosmetic, partly it keeps the rig off the ground a little bit more, making turtle mode work a little bit better. Oh! I landed on the printer. That'll never happen again. I did not plug those gates in, so they're not flashing their really cool colors. These are the 702 32,000 kV motors. I believe this rig does not have crash prevention turned on. I did want to fix that last live stream and I forgot. This is in the Cockroach 65 frame. Oh boy. Alright. Let me just get some flying in before I got through a bunch of those chat comments. I was thinking there might be a couple comments that like would take me some time to talk through, but they were fairly straightforward questions. Come on, man. Get out of there. There we go. Let's just let's get to business here. It's business time. Oh! Got a couple of really cool little end tables from a thrift store the other day. I don't think... Jesus Christ on a cracker. I don't think they're both going to stay down here, but one of them is definitely going to stay down here. Okay, I can't even just shoot a regular little gap. Great. Okay, we're stuck. Get out of there. Here we go. 6 batteries a day, my friends. Let's see them. Okay, what is going on? Oh, I thought it was going to fall right through that gate all slick-like. Did not. Impossible power loop. Oh, that's why it's the impossible power loop. Oh! I tried to, like, lay that out to the extreme. And I got. This battery is about to go. Let's get it home. I can feel it. I can feel it. Oh, God. I can feel it. Hey, just as I pull up, I get that low battery warning. All right. There's one. Morton Upshot said, we got that. Morton Upshot also says, do those dime bag motors have a PCB? Ooh, fuck yeah. Great question, dude. Great question. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Do they have a PCB? Is the question. And the answer is yes, they do. They do indeed. Thank God. Wait, am I Stevie wondering? I don't think I am. I'm not. All right, cool. You know what I haven't done in a while? The oh so trippy mirror flip! Oh no. Please don't have eaten all the stuff. Oh, we're good. Mirror flip! Oh no! Having a hard time with the mirror flips. Oh no, no, get off, get off, get off. Come on. Mirror flip! That's not as good one. You gotta do it really close to get the full experience. Mirror flip! Shit! Set up low. Set up low, get close. Ah! 32,000 kV motors make a big burst of thrust. It's difficult, man. Set up low. There it is! Oh, a good mirror flip there. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Come on. Oh, another good one. Do you some mirror flips, yo. It'll bend your brain. Get you some. Oh, I think it maybe went through that gate. Hey, Pachuco. Oh, so close. Let's go for it again. Oh, no, no, no. And for something different this time. If you're new here, these newbie drone gates are smaller than the rest of the gates, and like they're not that much smaller, but man, they are like just the right amount smaller that I just hit them all the time. I like the hole in the, it's wild. The hole in the gates is much bigger than the size of the gate itself, and I'm very good about looking where I want to go rather than where I don't want to go, which is one of the main reasons that you'll usually hit a gate is because you're looking at the gate itself rather than looking at the hole in the middle of it. Ah, this battery's about dead. Yeah, 3.4. Get another battery on real quick. Woo! The spin move! All right, one more battery on the 702 rig, and then we're going to go over to the 802 rig. Danzel the Terrible says, you're not you when you're hangry. Yeah, it's true. Well, you could argue that I am absolutely me. I'm more the ego me, though, when I'm hangry because I'm in survival mode. I'm not the me that I want to be. Michael Kajaz says it was a joke about the diamond. I had a feeling. I didn't know. Sam Stalder says, late to the stream. Also, what's the consensus on the best 65mm freestyle frame? Also, just supported your sim rig. What sim do you race on? Just spotted your sim rig. What sim do you race? Seto Corsa here. Mainly GT7 because I just got the PSVR 2. But I do love Assetto Corsa as well when I'm not in 3 dimensions. It's funny. I used to talk about real motorsport, which is my background before FPV, as 3-dimensional, and then simming as 2-dimensional. But now I've got with PSVR 2, I've now got 3-dimensional simming available to me, which has just been melting my brain lately. My parents are the absolute best. It's an early Christmas present for me and the kiddos. PSVR 2 is extremely impressive. Can you fucking just not, like... Thank you. Oh! Having a hard time, friends. Get in through there, you! Oh, what was that? It hit something. That was weird. What was there to hit? Oh, no! Wow, I'm having a hard time at the moment. Let's try a really hard move. That's the cure. Hold on. Let's just relax for a minute. And, like, not crash 18,000 times a second. Good. Let's shoot tiny little gaps when we're trying to relax. That's a great idea. What could go wrong? You fucker. It's within arm's reach. What am I doing? Oh, it's all tied. Oh. Alright, well, that's the end of flying this rig. It's, there's a string just... Oh, fuck you. God damn it. Alright. Yeah, that's going to take some time to get off of there. We're going to move over to the 0802 30,000 kV rig. Because, yeah, that is going to take a minute to detangle that. Let me fly the rest of this battery just to get it down to storage, and then we'll move over to a fresh battery. These motors are way more draggy electrically. That's a weird thing to say out loud, but you know what I mean. These motors pull way more amps, so it's going to just massacre this battery. It's also going to sound... Oh, wow, it feels so... God damn you! It feels so different. Good lord, it's mainly the weight. It's just so much heavier. The real magic to the 702 motors are how light they are. Jesus Christ. The high kV thing is great because it gets us a bunch of power back. But yeah, the true... The true magic is that they're extremely lightweight. This battery's probably dead. Oh my god, I'm trying to fly with just one hand because I'm trying to turn the OSD on. Yeah, this battery's done. Alright, hold on. Jesus. Yeah, I told you I was going to crash more. You didn't believe me, did you? You're like, nah, he'll be fine. Yeah, the mirror flip is the shit. 661 says you crash a lot. You have no idea, dude. I mean, I am not flying all that well right now. I'm super hungry. I'm super frustrated from this morning. And, like, I'm exhausted at the end of these live streams, too. So, like, the deck is really stacked against me. But I do crash a lot. You know, it's pretty easy to build... Oh, you fucking bastard! God damn it! Okay. That I did not need to disarm there. Yeah. Especially when I fly something that I'm unfamiliar with, which this very much is. This is tri-blades instead of bi-blades, and this thing is like almost 2 full grams heavier. So yeah, it's don't you I think it's back behind it. Of course it is. Yeah. I do think that we should all crash more than we do, though, with TinyWhoops. Because if you're flying hard enough to the point where you're crashing a lot, in my experience, that's when you learn the most. It's a little frustrating, but if you don't try shit that's beyond your comfort level, you'll never know if like you can do it. This thing just flies completely different. I don't like these motors at all. I don't know why I don't just get rid of these motors. I just keep like... Actually, I do. It's because they make a ton of power. But I don't like the way these motors fly. I think I've also got a whole bunch of up tilt in this rig right now, which is certainly not helping things. The main thing that's killing me right now, though, is that I'm just so used to the 702 rigs. Wow, look at the prop wash, too. With the 702s, these rigs are so much more floaty, and they also don't carry their momentum as much. The momentum is why I keep hitting this, because I'm coming around this. I'm generating all this momentum, and then I'm coming around here, and I'm expecting it to stop, because the lighter weight 702 rigs do. But it's just not. It's just carrying that extra momentum into the lamp. This is a whole different flying style, believe it or not. I know it. Well, I mean, you can see how much faster I have to go with this, right? Like that's because it's so fat. Oh, you piece of shit. There we go. I can still do some shit with it. Oh, God. But, yeah. I already crash a lot. And when I try to do all this stuff with something I'm not familiar with, it's just, like, exponentially worse. Ah! It's not, like... With the extra weight, it's not, like, falling where I expect it to. So I'm having to, like, adjust where I throw it, but also, like, where I catch it. It's just, yeah. Differences in the weight of rigs are one of the things that throws me off the absolute most. And this is a pretty significant change in weight. Although, the other thing that really hurts me is too much up tilt, and this thing had way too much up tilt just now. So... this should actually be a lot better in a second here. Now it's probably got too little up tilt. That's a lot of duct in view. So let's just take a little bit of that up tilt out. All right, this should be a lot better. That was also why I was flying so fast, is because there was a bunch of up tilt. This should be... I was going to say this should be a lot better. But I bet you I'd gotten used to it. Yeah, now it feels like it's got a jet booster up its ass, because with less up tilt, more of the thrust goes downwards, so it'll feel like you're making more power, when in fact you're not. Whoa, God! See, that's one of the things that this rig does really well, is just hurl itself. If the door was open, I'd bring it upstairs. You know, we're basically right now flying in like a 700 square foot apartment, which is a little small for tri-blades and 30,000 kV 802s. But hey, man, we got to get our 6 batteries a day. And why? Why do you do me like that? Yeah, see all the bouncing up that I'm doing? That's me not being used to this rig. starting to get used to the up tilt, though. Oh, God. Oh, are you kidding me? How did that not... How was that off by like 1 millimeter to get through there? Oh, boy. That was a pretty shitty attempt. Let's go for it one more time. Oh, man. This is... The motors are not coming down to idle as fast as the 702 rigs. That's weird. That's why it keeps missing that when I turn it to the right. Let's turn it to the left and we'll go for the left one. And throw it enough. Ah, yeah, you can see it. It's really pulling itself off. Hey, look at that. Oh, you bastard, you. Where am I? What's happening? Oh, I think it's back behind the shelf. Nope. It was just on the side. Yeah, man, this is hard to... This rig is really hard to fly. Jesus. Mega power loop? Not even close. Try it again. Mega power loop! Oh, close on that one. Come on. We got this, we got this. Let's get it. Mega! Oh, with a correction! I was off a little bit to the right, and I pushed in a little bit of left roll. I did it on that one as well, but I didn't get the I didn't get quite enough elevation. Mega! Ah, a little too high. Oh, so close. So very close. Come on. Come on. Come on, please. Please don't. Thank you. Oh, that's sad. That makes me the sads. Stop it. Oh my God, what is happening? I can't do anything! Oh, why can't I even throw it up through a gate for a quick little natty flip? Oh, come on. I have not felt this uncomfortable flying in here in a while. This flies really bad with these heavy ass motors. Jesus. Last one, yo. 6th battery of the day on a rig that I'm really not happy with the way it's flying, but I don't have anything else put together. So, you know, here we are. I'm kind of tempted to put the fractal cinematic analog rig up in the air, but it would just end up bending the motor shafts, and I'm not playing that game. All right, here we go. Plinko has begun. Hey, that was nice of you. I just left it armed, and it came back to life. There we go. Ah! Oh, no! Ah! 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 See if I can get one. Okay, right away. That's exactly what I was about to... Oh... Come on, you son of a bitch. Oh, now the goggles started beeping. Come on. I can't have the goggles beep. I just can't. How did Fat Shark pick the most annoying fucking beep on earth? How did, like... Did they do a goddamn study and study 1,000 people and ask them all, hey, which beep is the most annoying? This beep or this beep? Oh, it's that one? That's definitely the one that we're going to use for our goggles. And then, oh, we're going to just, as an extra kick in the dick, we're going to make it beep for no reason, even when the battery is like half charged. I'm not salty at all, though. Oh, now one arm? Oh, cool, we're good. Everything's fine. Okay. All right. This thing sucks. Come on, here we go. Let's do good things that are fun to watch. Oh! Oh, no! I got. Second most impossible power loop! That doesn't count. It doesn't count when you, like, when it's not, like, one big thing. It's gotta be one big movement. Almost like that. Ah! Come on. Let's get it. We got it. Ah! 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 Oh. Let's do all the hardest tricks with the worst flying rig. Ready? Go. That doesn't count. Good. Enough of those! Man, it just... This rig flies bad. I wonder if it's the tri-blades. It doesn't... It's not... It doesn't fall the way that I expect it to. It's just... It just... Yeah, like... The flight characteristics are just completely different. I don't usually feel this much of a difference between these things, but man, this is like night and day right now. There it is, my friends. 6 batteries with plenty of cursing and screaming and peeing my pants. I'm gonna take this apart and put this and put a frame and motor setup on it that is not this one, because this is just worthless the way it currently is. I think it's a combination of the tri-blades and the weight. These motors are fine. They're just too heavy. They would be better on a 75mm rig, but they only have 1mm motor shaft, so they would bend and break pretty quickly. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend them for that either. Unless you're not going to crash. Then they'll be great, or if you're going to crash on like grass and stuff. Thanks for hanging out, my friends. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Simon says, my kids laugh themselves silly when I crash, which is a lot. I'm trying new stuff. Good. Crash a lot. Dennis Matovich says, trying 6 packs a day FPV and then 6 more line of sight. Loving the fun. That's a really good idea right there. Learning line of sight is amazing. And then Sam Stalder with the last comment of the live stream, he says, did I miss the best 65mm freestyle frame? Talking about sim racing, I keep hearing PSVR 2 on GT7 is amazing, but I have too much invested in my PC, only sim rig, time to switch back to PlayStation. I think that Assetto Corsa on the PC with the really good shader and the really, like all the really good mods, I think it's probably about the same as GT7. Maybe not though, because good Lord, Polyphony put a lot of effort into the interiors and other stuff, so I don't know. Thanks for hanging, my friends. Best 65mm freestyle frame, in my opinion, at the moment is the Cockroach 65 V3, followed closely behind by the Weebleed FPV Crown and the old school Meteor 65. Buy them all. Try them for yourself. They're super cheap. Just do it. It's good to have extra frames around. CiottiFPV.com if you like what I'm doing and you want to support the madness. It is very difficult to do FPV full-time. That's why not many people do it. But I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I possibly can, and I'm going to take you all along with me on that ride. So come on with it. Join the Patreon. Buy something on my Etsy store. Get yourself a t-shirt. Work one-on-one with me through Fiverr, or just message me and we'll schedule it. All the things. Affiliate links. Thanks for hanging, friends. I'll see you tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Bye-bye! Here comes some more flying from earlier today. Maybe. There it is. Oh, nope. That ain't gonna work. Hold on. Hold on, please. Oh my god. Take this song off of your website, Epidemic Sound. Nobody wants to hear that song ever again. Be good, friends. Bye!